I do not have perfect parents, but in this world, who really does? When I was younger, my father was sent away to prison for a pretty big portion of my young life. My mother never really wanted to talk about it, or maybe I was too afraid to ask about it, but I knew she loved him as much as she was disappointed in what he had done. She would wear her ring every single day. She would never talk badly about him. In fact, she would constantly remind my siblings and me that everyone makes mistakes, even good people. Sometimes especially good people. She was the type of person who could love someone 1,000 miles away, the same as if you were standing right beside them. I think about all the terrible people I've ever met in my life, and consider myself extraordinarily lucky to have her as a mother, and a friend, as a teacher and a role model. I may not have had the perfect childhood, but I had a damn good mother. Growing older, like a lot of people, I had a series of failed relationships. I would say a good majority of them ended because of me, because of my actions and, in some cases, my inactions. Back in 2014-ish, I was still in the Marine Corps, and I remember being with someone who was really amazing. She lived a fair distance away from where I was stationed at, and I begged and begged for her to come and visit me, until finally one summer she decided to. I was so excited for her to finally come out to see me that I forgot to do literally anything to make her visit a good one. Like any job, in the Corps you had to submit a form requesting to have some time off, and like the procrastinator I was, I submitted that form way too late, and it was promptly denied. To make matters worse, I lived in the barracks. If you don't know anything about the Marine Corps barracks, there's almost zero privacy, the walls are paper thin, and there's a room inspection every single Thursday. And guests are not allowed to sleep over. At least not at the barracks where I lived. I can't speak on every single Marine Corps barrack. So with all that knowledge, you would think that any sane person would have told their significant other that they should definitely not come, and to reschedule the whole thing for some other date. Not me, though. I was selfish and inconsiderate, and really just wanted to be with her. You would think that anyone who truly cares for their significant other would at the very least tell them about the whole situation. Nope, not me. You underestimate how truly selfish I was. So she comes, and of course the whole thing is one big disaster. And instead of apologizing, I get upset that she isn't having a good time. She may have ended up seeing someone else while we were still together, but looking back at things now, I know that I was the problem. Who would want to be with anyone that inconsiderate? I sometimes wish that I was able to have that realization sooner, but I think that it's in these failures that we're able to really grow, as long as we're willing to learn. I mean, people have been telling me to be a decent person my whole life, but all lessons worth learning are learned the hard way, at least for me. Fast forward 4 years later, and I'm back home on the island of Guam. I left the military a year prior and was attending my local college. I was 24 at the time and was taking as many credits as I possibly could, because I felt like I got to this point in my life much later compared to most others, and I just wanted to get it all done with. During the summer, I elected to take an art course, and that is where the stars aligned and the universe spoke, and everything fell into place. There is where I met a girl who was just about to graduate with a degree in psychology and just needed a few more credits, so she had to take that art class to finish up. She was reserved, but hilarious when she wanted to be. She seemed very down to earth, but I couldn't help feeling nervous anytime she spoke. One night, she invited me to a themed get-together with her psych friends and sent a picture of what she was going to wear. She had a full-on cosplay of Arthur from the animated series. I was afraid she wouldn't like me. I was afraid her friends wouldn't like me. I was afraid I wasn't going to be outgoing enough for her. I'm not sure if I regret not going or not. To be honest, I think things happened exactly how they were supposed to happen, for things to end up how they are right now. We still talked afterwards, and she even convinced me to sneak into her house a couple of times for wine and YouTube videos. She lived with her parents at the time, and wasn't allowed to have people over. I always thought that was silly, because she was only 2 years younger than me, and an adult. But I suppose if you're gonna live under someone else's roof, you should probably follow their rules. With that being said, we continued to break those rules, partly because of the rush of acting like children, but mostly because I was falling more and more in love with her. A few months go by before we finally make things official. She then asked me something that flips a sort of switch in my head, as if it were something I was debating within myself. Now, I left Guam 2 weeks out of high school to join the military, and I was in between 2012 to 2017. I returned home mid-2018, and then in February of 2019, this person who I had only known for months asked me if I want to move to Minnesota to be with her while she obtains her master's degree. She didn't put any pressure on the question and said it as if it weren't life-changing. While I never believed in soulmates, people find other people who will tolerate them long enough until they're married, and sometimes one or both of them die, or they break it off. There isn't any other option. But she was gentle and forgiving. She was kind and competitive. She was smart and silly. Even in those early stages of our relationship, I could feel my nerves loosening, my mind easing, and something miraculous. I could feel myself becoming a better person, just by being in proximity to her. She was the kind of person that could love you 1,000 miles away, the same as if you were standing right beside them. To this day, we live in Minnesota, and there's not been a single day that I've regretted my decision. I guess the point of the story is this. In life, you're gonna mess up. Sometimes it'll be small little mistakes, and sometimes it'll be huge life-changing ones. But you've got to learn to reflect on things, no matter how difficult it is, to really examine yourself in a mirror, and understand that there's always room to grow. Give yourself time, give yourself hope. I don't know if it happens to everyone, but life found a way to put my soulmate into a chance art class of maybe 10 people. All I had to do was be ready for it to happen.